Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jacqueline, the unimportant homemaker, and today let's talk about being bad. As I was pondering my life before Christ and thinking over some of the Proverbs, I came up with a little story I wanted to share with you. This will be a bit exaggerated, but a lot of it rings true with how petty and sinful my actions used to be in my marriage. I wonder if you'll recognize all of the scriptures I am referencing. Here goes. I used to be an actor or pretender. I was really good at it. I starred in one big production that I played for over 7 years. I had the lead role, and I was the most important person in the show. I mean, when you have such an important role, you have to make sure you know your lines or be a good talebearer who reveals secrets. And I was good at both of those. Maybe you've seen my show. Well, you probably have your own show. It's called My Life's Fleshly Desires. In the show, My Life's Fleshly Desires, it is all about me. Every week, there's a new situation that I have to get myself out of. Here's how it usually went. I was married with a husband named Brandon, and I was mad that he didn't do something. And so my hatred started up strife. Quarrelsome was the word used to describe my role. So I had to fuss and argue with him because with pride cometh contention. But he usually didn't want to argue back, so I would get louder and start calling him names and uttering slander with my multitude of words. If he shouted back, I used grievous words to stir up anger and would pick one of the mean things he said and amplify that into a mountain because my ways were right in my own eyes. I was really good at crying and making a big stink. In fact, I have been told that no woman can tear down her house like me. Doing mischief was as a sport to me. Occasionally, he would try to make it up to me, but when he did, I would say, "That's not good enough. You really went too far. I'm the mother of your child." And so he would say, "Well, tell me what to say." And I would smile a little inside and wink my eye. Why? Because now I will be able to get him to answer me according to my folly. Guess what? Once I even scored the ultimate prize. I made him get so frustrated he lost his cool and punched a wall. Can you believe it? I told you I was really good at this. Causing him to go astray in an evil way sometimes meant I'd fall into my own pit, but I usually tend to ignore that truth. Okay. So there's a hole in the wall. So now I just add that back into the list of all of his failings I've been telling him about. But now I have to escalate too because of my proud heart. I pause to devise my ways, and I think the best way that seemeth right to me is to grab my keys and storm out screaming that I will not live with the man who acts like a wild animal. He retreats to the corner of the house. This works sometimes, but usually I would return to my folly as a dog returned to his vomit and just stay home and refuse to let him go to bed until I feel better. He might try restraining his brawling wife, but that's like trying to restrain the wind or grasp oil in his right hand. My trademark was to make him apologize while holding me close and also say flattering things about how much he loves me, because I love vanity above all. The show usually ends with me still not really believing him, but it's 2 a.m. and I'm sleepy now. Okay, so you get the point of the show. Is your show like that? Well, anyway, I got fired. The network was taken over by Jesus, and now I work for him. I no longer have number one spot on the show, God does, and my husband has the supporting role. I also don't get to be a pretender. I now have to tell the truth. Yelling is no longer allowed either because I had to put on a quiet and gentle spirit. Oh, and get this, I can't even worship myself anymore, but instead I am to see to it that I reverence my husband. All that said, I like this new job. This job comes with a righteousness not my own, peace, and virtuous living that is a crown to my husband, but it also comes with a bit of hard stuff, like really hard stuff, like having to humble myself when I try to take over the show again, which I did several times a week. My husband started talking to me more, and I became a gracious woman, able to retain my honor. I also had to go to therapy. Apostle Paul met with me to go over the books he wrote for the show, and then I spent lots of time talking with God. He had a whole plan for me, and it was important that I studied to show myself approved unto him so that I wouldn't be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. The Lord taught me that I needed to add to my faith virtue, knowledge, self-control, and many others. I was told to let not mercy and truth forsake me, but to bind them about my neck and write them upon the table of my heart. Discretion began to preserve me, and I no longer rejoiced to do evil. God laid up wisdom for me, which was better merchandise than silver, and the gain thereof than gold. I learned to strive not with my man without cause, and began to walk in the way safely. My wickedness became an abomination to me, and I began to hear wisdom speak of excellent things. I am thankful the Lord called me to take his yoke upon me and learn of him. So like I said, this story was a bit exaggerated, but it does ring true about how fleshly and sinful I behaved in my marriage. I want to make it clear that I am in no way saying that this is the right way, that this is good. This was horrible, despicable, sinful, fleshly behavior, but I was very much known for it in my marriage in the early days. And I spent I wasted many years being a foolish woman, tearing down my house. I had to get my act together. And so I want to encourage you that if your show is stupid like mine was, I hope that you'll grow in wisdom as you read God's word, all of God's word, every day if possible, so that you may learn more about him. Because when you know God, that is the beginning of wisdom. And so we need to strive to know God. Anyway, what about you? Are you starring in the world's stupidest show ever like I was? I'd love to hear about it in the comments section below. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time here at the homestead. Bye.